Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we just did an intel mission, and we're going to keep doing those to build up some Ordo rep. Between missions I ran just the weekly Ordo stuff. The season had ended, so I moved some of the loot from my seasonal character over. Nothing really big this might be worth using. But it's just XP gain, so it's not the greatest. I also went to... there's a space station, I can't remember the name of it. And between missions, the Ordo missions leveled me up, and then I was able to buy a couple of skill points and an attribute point, so I reallocated the stuff. I want to build accuracy up to 25 so I can get HP gained on hit, because that'll be like 60 HP, 69.7, I believe. Yeah. So that would be useful. In terms of passives, I've just been pouring into physical attacks, got that maxed out. Still haven't found a good Exodus rifle, but as it stands, this is pretty good. More physical damage bonus, concussive trauma, adds a plus 10% damage per stack. 5 hits will cause, a 50% damage boost. It'll be good against some of the heavier targets that just eat shots. But let's just jump into intel. Physical resist and bonus damage. We can tweak that a bit. Honestly, as it stands, let's just go... let's just go Psalm Code. Actually, let's go Blueprints. And relic stuff that way. Oh no, bonus warp damage. Good thing only guys who do warp damage are gonna benefit from that. And it's Nurgle demons, I think it's just they're little cultist guys then. Damage resist, damage bonus, irrelevant.
Maim the heretic, slay the treacherous Xenos, banish the fork-tongued demon spawn.
So, I was browsing Twitter like I usually do, and I saw someone made a custom, paint job and a little bit of green stuff added on orc. Absolutely love it. They made the orc into Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, and he put... I'm assuming the creator's a dude, I don't know for sure, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But they put a Nurgle-y on his shoulder and painted him to look like Pikachu. And I just thought that was really cool, because they modeled, they made it so he had, the clothes and the hat and everything. And I just thought it was really neat. I love when people do stuff like that. Saw one guy did some stuff, just kind of putting a new... he had a Morngul model, and he changed it up so instead of just being on the ground, it was actually hanging off of a pillar, looking all menacing, which I thought was pretty cool.
Reloading.
Trying to think what else was really going on. Not a whole lot. In terms of Warhammer, things have been quiet again. I always hate when it's quiet. then I have very little to talk about in regards to it, and that's disappointing. I did see an article I thought was interesting. It was relating to Star Wars, saying, is there a bit of burnout from it? And I thought that was honestly the funniest question. Because, yes, you can suffer from burnout of anything. As a kid, I loved bologna sandwiches. Now I can't even tolerate looking at bologna, because I ate so much of it. This can apply to literally anything. But, you know, it took me almost 10 years to finally get tired of bologna growing up. And I'm thinking for Star Wars, you could probably go even longer. People went quite literally... Alright, considering there was well over a decade and a half between... I think it was a decade and a half, roughly, between the original trilogy and sequel trilogy. But there was tons of books and games and stuff that came out, and people weren't burnt out of Star Wars then. I think the problem is the movies. Outside of Rogue One and Solo, I know a lot of people don't really like Solo. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, the guy doesn't look like a young Harrison Ford. It's gonna happen, you know. But short of that, I thought it was good. But those two movies were the only good ones. We've had... what else? The sequel trilogy, which was terrible. We had The Mandalorian, which kind of saved the franchise, I feel, from getting, you know, dropped even faster. But we have a bunch of other crap coming out for Star Wars that is just not appealing. Or it's stuff where the people who are creating it don't understand the concept. Like, I remember there was, I think it's the High Republic, supposed to be around, what is it? I think the Stark Hyperspace War, which is just before the prequel trilogy. But it's set around that time with the Republic still being a Republic. And I remember seeing pictures from, like, their little studio working on it, and there's stuff about, like, oh, a diverse cast and all this stuff, and, like, emphasizing, like, women can use the Force. And I sat there thinking, that's absurd. It's never been, like, a dudes-only mechanic. The whole spirit of it has been anyone can have it and use it, and that the Force is effectively for everyone. But so you have the stuff that's very, I guess I'd describe it as of its time. You know, the way a lot of media is made right now is a very specific way that's honestly getting very grating. I mean, that's like how they're doing Cowboy Bebop, the live-action adaptation. They took the character Gren, who ends up in the anime, he as accidentally transitions into being a woman effectively by taking like this experimental sedative to calm himself down, and it, you know, switches his gender, and he suffers from a degree of gender dysmorphia from it, because, you know, he just not really 100% a dude anymore. And the Netflix version, they're like, oh yeah, they completely changed it into it being a good thing instead of him being the victim of this experimental drug. And I was like, that kind of takes away a very deep and interesting part behind the character and their motivations and why they act the way they do. But that's kind of, like I was saying, something where it's written of the time, of now, where characters have to check these boxes and be very, you have to do this and this and this, and it gets tiring, because it makes characters very predictable. And that's kind of where I feel Star Wars is going, where the characters and the situations are just becoming so bland that, yeah, you're gonna face burnout. When you burnt out a lot of your core audience by effectively shitting on them for the past 6 years, yeah, people aren't going to be interested. And it's a shame. What I will say, though, is if Games Workshop is smart, they'll try to leverage this. You know, oh, people are getting burnt out of Star Wars. Well, right now, in terms of sci-fi, your other competition is Dune, which doesn't have, like, Dune is popular, but it's not as popular, even as, I would say, Warhammer. Short of that, what do you have? Some pretty meh tier Star Trek stuff. Games Workshop should really be capitalizing on this, but of course they already kind of screwed up by doing their whole, oh, you can watch our stuff on Warhammer Plus. I said it before, should have been on Netflix. Right there, they would have set themselves up to allow a lot of people to find them, and a lot of people to get interested. And the thing is, they could have kept Warhammer Plus and the Netflix deal simultaneously. Because all you'd have to do is say, okay, Warhammer Plus for now is more heavily the miniature side of things. You can have stuff available on both Netflix and Warhammer Plus. Honestly, I'd say that's probably your best bet if you can get away with getting a deal going with that. That might be the difficult part. But you know, you go with that, you get people interested through a Netflix deal, then bring them over. And they could also probably reach out to some game developers to do something. You know, it's not like Warhammer is a fully tapped experience. There's nothing to play or to even touch on in the franchise. They can make a million Space Marine style games. It's not that difficult. Could do, I mean, don't know exactly how far along it was, but there was the MMO that was planned. Find the people for that and revive it. I actually saw some of the art for that and some of the assets that have been made, and it looked really good. And I mean, in terms of that, they could have gone real hard. Actually, what would be a really sick idea, just remembered it. This is kind of it's both a deep cut and a fairly recent thing. In 2020, a PC port of the game Kingdom Under Fire Crusaders got released. If you didn't play that or didn't hear of it then, you might have played it when it came out on the Xbox back in 2004. And what it was a game where it was both RTS and a hack and slash. You played as a hero and would kind of command your units to move around. The actual commanding was clunky as all can get out and made the game really difficult to play, but the idea was really cool. And as I was just sitting here, I realized you could do something like that, where you introduce a game, because they did an MMO version of Kingdom Under Fire that they just shut down. Mostly because it's a Korean studio, a Korean company, and they don't give a damn about anything outside of Korea. But what they could have done is have that, and you're, a Space Marine or whatever, and you are effectively the commander of a squad. And then you can have other players leading their own little AI squads. Kind of like how Enlisted is, but maybe not as casual with you being like just a generic soldier. I don't know, I'd probably have it when you die, they just become kind of free-roaming AI to sort their own deal out. But you could do something like that, and then, you know, there's a lot of really good artists within the Warhammer community, and you could have people, kind of like what they do in Warframe, where they're like, hey, do you know how to 3D model stuff? Do you want to make money? Well, you can submit your items, and players can pay for these skins. If you think I'm not gonna spend like $10-15 on a like army skin set for, you know, I don't know, chaos. I just remembered there's somebody painted a set where they were all like not pirates, but it was Chaos Space Marines. They have like an octopus hanging off them and coral growing on them, kind of piratey, but like kind of the flotsam and flotsam of the ocean. And it's like, I would pay for that and have my army of nautical boys busting people up. Put some old school deep sea diver helmets on them, and yeah, I'd buy that. And I think people would play it. Whether you want to do some grand campaign thing of every so often you fight and territory gets gained or lost in a world map, or you do a planet-side style thing, cut back the number of players, obviously, because you gotta facilitate AI and pathing and all that. But you could do something like that, and that'd be a really cool idea. And it, like I said, it gets the community involved.
Well, Inquisitor.
People really like, you know, being recognized for their artwork. And if you can set it up so they get paid a little bit, you can kind of save yourself some artist money and development time. Kind of having them do your job for you. They still get paid, you get paid, everybody's happy. And we could actually have a pretty cool 40K game. I'd be down for it. Nothing good from that. Did I even get good rewards? A psalm. Wow, that's a very empty weapon. Anything worth using? No, not really. Alright. So, that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.